Productivity versus creativity. Which one do you look at or focus on most of the day? Productivity, where you look at your things to do and how much did you accomplish off that list by check, check, check? Or creativity, where you look at, did I get a creative new idea? Was I in the flow? Did I actually create something, whether it be painting or writing a story, whatever it is that you love to make? What do you focus on the most in your day? And I say look at the whole week, because it's not just one day a week you want to do it. What are you looking at, productivity or creativity? And which one do you think makes you the most successful in whatever endeavor that you want to be a success in your life? Hi, I'm Deepa, and I call myself the Creative Mystic. And I'm all about sharing with you how creativity and mysticism combined together help you create a life you love. Now, I was given a download from the Heart Chakra Angel, which is over here. It's a spirit guide portal of mine that when I was meditating a few mornings ago, floated across my mind was productivity versus creativity. And she was guiding me to share about this, because she's saying in most of the world, and especially here in America, which is where I'm creating this here, this live stream, it is the focus is on productivity. And she was saying how there's too much focus on productivity, and that it's actually creativity that will give you the level of success you desire. Now, we're going to invoke her in, but she wanted me to share a little bit with you of kind of what came to me when I was meditating. And then after we invoke her in and the spirit guides in and get going, we're going to get the current intuitive guidance, not what she gave to me a few days ago. And then we're going to go into painting and creating a spirit guide. And why do I create the spirit guides here with you in the live stream? One, I was guided to do that, and I do my intuitive guidance that I get. But two, I was given that, like for me, the whole reason I have visions now is because I started to combine the desire of making and creating spirit guide portals with spiritual practices. And so from my own experience, I know if you actually start to do creative projects, creative processes, and combine it with the spiritual tools and practices, it can awaken your gifts too. It helps you grow spiritually. It helps you to actually, what they want to talk about today, the level of success, have more success in your life, okay? So that's why I do it. Now, the Heart Chakra Angel wanted me to share about how creativity and productivity are two kinds of energies in the world, and that there's an imbalance right now. There's an imbalance of focusing on productivity, especially here in the United States. She's saying it's productivity, productivity, productivity. And there are some companies that will give service, she's saying give lip to, they say, oh, creativity is important. But when they've done research, they have found that those people who even work at those kinds of companies still feel a lot of pressure to be more productive. In fact, they said it was 75 to 80%, because I was told to do a little research on it, and I found that little statistic. I thought it was interesting that even at the companies where they talk about how important creativity is, 75 to 80% of the people still felt pressured to be productive. And so what the Heart Chakra Angel wanted you to understand is that that you're programmed to focus on productivity, but it goes against who you truly and naturally are, which is a creative being, a creative soul, and that you're meant to be creative. So we're going to go more into that here in a little bit, but we're going to invoke the presence of the Heart Chakra Angel, the healing hands, which is a vision I've been working on, that I got this vision of the healing hands giving the healing light, but they wanted me to create on camera with you. So we're going to invoke the energy of the spirit guides, okay? So I usually start that with ringing the bell so that we can say hello to the spirit guides. Now I'm going to say hello, spirit guides, specifically the Heart Chakra Angel and the healing hands. And then we're going to ring the bell to bring in that energy, that spirit guide, not only into my physical space here in my Sacred Art Studio, but into your physical space wherever you are viewing this, okay? So, and it's most importantly not just into the physical space, but into your inner space. Because the spirit guides are always telling me that they come to help give you higher guidance so you can be more awake in your true self, more awake in your connection to higher power, more awake in the purpose that you have here, more awake in your abundant self. And so it's about how do you awaken? It's that journey of awakening. And they want me to share with you, because what I've discovered on this spiritual path is that awakening is a process, okay? People look at it as a destination. When I get there, I'll be this. When I get there. But it's a journey, and that journey keeps, if you can understand it's a journey, you'll stay on the path. If you think it's a destination and you haven't gotten there yet, you may give up. And so they wanted me to share that with you. All right? So, somebody's come in. Hello, Irene. Thank you for introducing yourself. We're going to ring this bell. It's a tradition from India where they ring it there when they enter a building saying, hello, God, specifically a lot in temples, but some people have it at their homes. We're going to say, hello, spirit guides, all right? Because these individual spirit guides come to you because that's what you specifically need. And if you're tuning in here, then you must need to hear the message from the Heart Chakra Angel, and if the healing hands come forth, them too. So let's start now. Just take that moment, and you can close your eyes as long as you're not driving. Close your eyes and take that deep belly breath where the belly rises with the inhalation and falls with the exhalation. And to take that next deep belly inhalation, and on the inhalation, draw on the energy of focus. And on the exhalation, let go of any distractions, any business of the day. And on the next deep belly inhalation, just draw on the energy of divine presence, specifically the spirit guides, the divine presence of the spirit guide, of the Heart Chakra Angel, and the healing hands, and whatever spirit guide that you might need to hear from, to be with. So as I ring that bell, say hello to the spirit guides. Hello, spirit guides. Hello, the Heart Chakra Angel. Hello, the healing hands. Hello to the spirit guide that you need to hear from the most. We invoke thy presence into our bodies, minds, and souls, into this sacred space, this sacred art studio, this sacred space wherever you are, and most importantly, into our inner sacred space of awakening ourselves to the ability to receive the guidance, to receive the blessings, to receive the transformation. Om. Peace. Amen. And I've already lit the candle. And I light a ghee lamp, and we're going to bring this ghee lamp to bring the energy of transformation in, about transformation of transforming you and your space, your energy and consciousness, and to awaken the energy of healing and transformation in the healing hands and up to the Heart Chakra Angel, for bringing the blessings of what she has to share with you. And she wants me to remind you, if you've never tuned in with me before, that the spirit guides have no gender, and the Heart Chakra Angel specifically comes with no gender. But if she comes and I say she, it's because we need to invite in the energy of the divine feminine. And if she comes in the energy of he, then we need to be more in our masculine energy. So I'm lighting the Palo Santo till I bring it so you can clear your space and your energy of any negative downward pulling energy. And bringing it here to the Heart Chakra Angel. Okay. I'm going to clean my own space and energy. And it's all about how do you get yourself in the right consciousness, the right place to be open and receptive. because receptivity is so much of the spiritual path of having growth, of being able to be successful in whatever your endeavors are. So the Heart Chakra Angel, let me check in with her now and see what more she wants to share with you on the idea of why creativity actually gives you more success, and why productivity, what she's actually saying, why productivity kind of keeps you stuck. And not kind of, she's saying keeps you stuck. So let me check in with her here. And she wants to start with productivity. So she says there's an imbalance of everybody looking at productivity. In business, if you go in business, why do they look at productivity? Even if they talk about creativity, the importance of it, they fall back to productivity because what? It affects the bottom line. And that bottom line is what? Profits, money. Now, she's not saying there's anything wrong with money, profits. It's all important. She says there's no such thing as a nonprofit company, organization, because she says if you want to continue to exist on the realm of in the world of being a business and being out there to do some good in the world, because businesses are supposed to be out there to be doing good in the world. And when she says good, it's not really like good and bad, but bringing something that actually helps the people in society, okay? So if there's an imbalance of looking at productivity, that means they're only looking at the bottom line of money. They're not looking at the whole picture of, is this good for society? Is this good for the people? Is it good for the planet? When you only look at productivity. And she's saying now that's on the bigger scale of business, but you're probably concerned with, well, how's this affecting me in my life, right? So she's saying if you're constantly looking at yourself and looking at your list of things to do and feeling like either you feel one of two things. She says, you have a long list of things to do. Is that you at all? If you watch this and you see that, I'd love it if you make a comment. But if you have a list of things to do and all you're looking at is check, 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 and I'm guilty of this, and it's been me slowly reprogramming myself. She wants me to share this with you. But if you only look at that, then you're judging yourself not on who you are being, but what you are accomplishing, okay? And that focus on just on what you're accomplishing, on whether you get your list of things to do done, gives a warped perspective on what really makes an individual a spiritual soul who's growing. Okay, because creative mystic, it's all about what mysticism, spiritual experiences, having your own direct experience. Are you wanting that, your own direct experience, spiritual experience, whether that be you have an experience of bliss and joy or complete peace? Those are all spiritual experiences that people think are evasive, but they're not. Or I should say elusive, I think is the word. But she's saying that if you only focus on productivity, it's basing your thoughts, words, and actions on whether something gets accomplished rather than what's true. And she's saying the most important thing for you as an individual is for you to do what is true. Now, the only way you know what's true is to know what's in your heart. And that's why the Heart Chakra Angel is telling me that they want to come through and share this, because they're saying that creativity is the key to knowing what's true in your heart. Productivity keeps you in your mind, your logical, productive mind, like what's going to make it so I can be faster, what's going to make it so we make more money, what's going to make, whenever they look at whether we're productive, what are they looking at? Are we getting more done in a certain amount of time? Are we making more money in a certain amount of time? Are we making more money with less people? And so the productivity mind, she's saying, is not caring for the people and the planet and the animals. And in order to have true success in anything, you have to care for the whole. See, when you have to look at, even in business, the whole, because there is no them, There isn't, like people think, oh, well, that's their fault or that's them, but we're all one, right? If we're all connected, you believe in that spiritual truth. I know I do. I believe we're all one, we're all connected. And of course, I have days where I remember it really well and don't judge people, and days, because I'm human, where I do, But this is directional, and that's the thing about it, awakening being a journey. You hear a spiritual truth, and then you go, how can I keep living this more deeply, more effectively, and change my programming? Because the programming that you received from coming into your human body, from being in an environment with family members or society where they've been programmed with untruths, they continue to pass them down. And so when you get on the spiritual path of awakening, on that journey of awakening, you start to learn the truth, and you start to apply the truth, and you struggle through the truth, because productivity is such a common thing that you think, what's wrong with focusing on productivity? You're looking at someone who felt the exact same way. I have been a person that loves to check, 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 that it makes me feel like I've accomplished things. And that accomplishing things, because I was programmed with thinking that you need to be responsible and you need to get things done, that the better job you do, that makes you a better person. That check, check, check made me feel good about myself. You ever feel that way? Where you felt good about yourself just because you checked off things off your list? Or you might be having the opposite thing. You make this long list and you don't check a whole lot off. Or maybe you have a list of 10 things and you actually get through 3 of them. But then you judge yourself because you feel like, I only got through 3 things I had 10 to do. And what I've learned through being in the spiritual path and the journey of growing is to be, honest with myself about where I am. And that's the thing about which one do you really focus on the most in your day. You have to actually really get honest with yourself. Do you actually focus on creativity at all in your day? Because if you don't, then you're going against your natural wiring. See, because when you focus the imbalance on productivity, you're using your logical, analytical mind to determine what you think you should do and how you will be successful. Now think about that word success. Okay, a lot of times I was programmed to think success was about whether I accomplished everything off my list, but also did it make money? And I have learned that the money thing does not necessarily mean that it's a success. It might be that you want more money, and that's perfectly okay, because we all want money because we need it to live in our society today. But what is true success? True success is, you get to define it, but for me, success is about being healthy, being wealthy, being true to myself, doing what's true, following my heart, growing spiritually. Now, what does that mean, growing spiritually? It can mean different things to different people. Some people think growing spiritually is having mystical experiences and having visions. Some people think it's having more patience or being in the energy of love, okay? It could be a lot. In fact, it's one of the most common questions I get from people who come or are interested in working with me as a spiritual mentor and doing a coaching program with me, a mentoring program, is about, I want to get intuitive downloads and I want to be able to trust it, because they're constantly in question mode. Is this my intuition or is this my ego? And so they feel like, well, I'll be more spiritually successful when I can trust that intuition, which is true. If you can follow that, get those downloads and follow them, those are the breadcrumbs to lead you to the success of knowing your purpose, or purposes, I say, because you have more than one purpose in your life, okay? It's going to give you the clues of how to awaken your gifts. Like for me, I was a non-visual person. Would do guided meditations, people guiding me, and I would see nothing. If I tried to see something, nothing. It wasn't until I followed the little desire in my heart to create a spirit guide portal. The first one was with Yogananda, and I didn't even call it a portal back then. I just wanted to create Yogananda, a painting of him that when people saw it, they would feel his energy and feel like they were being blessed by him and feel like his power. And when I got completed, I had a complete stranger come up to me and ask me if I was the one who created it. And she said, I just have to tell you, when I look at this painting, I feel Yogananda's energy. I feel his power. I feel like I'm being blessed by him. And I know because I'm a disciple of his. And I just was like, oh, thank you. But on the inside, I was like, oh my God, it worked. It worked. It worked. It worked. And that was the breadcrumb that started me down. And then I started to get visions because I followed that still small voice that told me I want to do this, even though I thought people were going to think I was weird. Now, I gave you a little Reader Digest version of that because the Heart Chakra Angel just wanted me to share with you about how creativity will awaken your gifts. So why does creativity actually make you more successful, bring you the success and what you desire? Because you are a creative being. You are what they call creatures, right? And creatures has that word in there, that create part in there, right? But think about women like you may be a woman, you may be a man, but just think about women for a minute, okay? Women can actually grow a being inside them, right? So how more creative can you get, okay? But we're all creative beings because what? We're all one. So we are meant to be creating. And when you're not, you will stagnate. In fact, jobs that are repetitive, doing mindless, the same thing over, that have no creativity, people what? Get bored, hate their job, want to quit, want something better, right? So you are hardwired for creating. And when you use the productivity model, it's taking you out of who you truly are. And so you'll continue to struggle in ways. Now, you might have some area of your life like where you make a lot of money. But if you don't ever use your creativity, there's going to be some part of you that's been compartmentalized and put away. And when you're in that creative flow of creating, okay, especially if you create with spirit, with, and that was the thing I started doing. I started to create my spirit guide portals, doing my best to move my little self aside, my ego self, and let spirit come through and be the painter. So I would follow what I was getting to do. I was, listening to music that put me in that vibration. I was doing prayers before and yoga postures to relax, because in order to be that creative being, you have to relax. When you're tense, you're in the productivity mind, okay, of probably, what do I need to get done? The thing of times, like I have to get this done by this time, deadlines, all that can create you being tense, which now you're worried about productivity, right? Now, of course, when you're in business, there are deadlines, all right? But there's a way you could work with that template, they're saying, that environment of productivity and still be creative, okay? And part of that is trusting spirit, trusting your spirit guides, trusting that it'll work out, that you will meet the deadline, and you don't have to stress about it and worry about it. And the more you're in the creative energy of creativity, of making things, the more you'll get downloads and ideas that come through the ethers, through the spirit guides, of helping you to do it in a creative way rather than a productive way. Hopefully that's making sense. We're going to go into some painting. I'm getting to do that now. And as we paint, I'm going to be working on the healing hands. I'm sure they're going to be sharing with me more about what to do to get into that creative energy. Because they were showing with me earlier, I'm going to turn this around and start cleaning my paint palette, about how creativity it doesn't have to be a specific kind of creativity, but she is saying you want to do a creativity that allows you to use your hands. Now, it's not like it's bad to you do like writing. In fact, she's saying if you are a writer, she's saying to sometimes write with your hands, like write with a pencil and paper rather than typing into your computer, because there's something about the writing process that will bring your creativity forth more than just writing, typing in a typewriter. So, so that's still with your hands. She's saying that you want to be in that creative flow of creating with your hands. And she's suggesting painting can be really good to do because you don't have to try to paint spirit guide portals or anything like that. She's saying what you want to do is just be open to painting to play the color of the paints down, because color is a beginning point of sparking your creative flow when you stick down different colors. I had gotten this download too about creativity, and there's 3 types of creativity, and that you want to focus on. Well, she's saying what form of creativity that you focus on depends on where you are. So she's saying if you have a lot of emotional wounds and triggers, you probably want to focus on some creativity that allows you to release those triggers or those most pervasive emotional wounds that create beliefs that keep you stuck. She's saying you probably want to do that. But if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of emotional wounds, you want to maybe focus on a creativity that's about listening to what you're sensing. And she says we're gonna probably talk about that next Thursday at the live about the 3 forms more. But she just wants to bring it up a little bit now so you guys can be aware there's more than just, oh, creativity, let me make something. It's now, at the very least, she's saying do that. Just go, what do I want to make? And make it. The healing hands want me to share why they come to me in a vision. The healing hands have been coming to me in different visions for a long time. This one I actually drew a long time ago, and then just was kind of like, I don't know why, but I never ever took it out to paint it. I just drew it on the canvas, and then a few weeks ago, all of a sudden I got this download to pick it up and start doing it. And then I was doing it not even on camera, and then I got, well, bring it into the live stream and share it with you, because everybody, they're saying, could use the energy of healing energy. Because healing energy, they're saying, is about self-acceptance, self-love, honoring who you are. And he's saying, honoring you as the creative soul that you are. Because if you've been somebody who maybe there's something that you haven't liked about yourself, that it's time to actually let go of that. Allow the healing hands to bring the energy of transformation, of letting it go. Letting go of that false belief that there's something to dislike. And they're wanting me to share with you, like I grew up disliking the fact that I was so sensitive. I'm an empath, and I was constantly told to stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. So I kept wishing I'd stop being so sensitive. And never happened. Had to learn to accept myself with the fact that I cry easily, that I pick up on people's emotions, that I'm very sensitive to, like if there's a lump in the bed. Anybody like that, where you're sensitive or you're an empath? Well, it's about, I've in the past seen a lot of empaths not like themselves because they don't like the fact that they pick up on other people's emotions, or that the sounds are too loud, or whatever it is that they're sensitive about. And it's about honoring and loving. Like the only way you're going to know what's in your heart, the Heart Chakra Angel is saying, is if you actually honor who you are. And not just who you are, where you are. They're talking about honoring where you are in your spiritual development, in your emotional development, in your intellectual development, whatever it is, all those areas, physically, emotionally, also honoring where you are physically. As you are on the planet longer and longer, what you did at 15 isn't going to be the same as what you do at, let's say, 25 or 30, or at 35 or 40, and that you have to start to honor that, or 50 or 60 or whatever age you are, that you have to really honor where you are physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And then when you do that, that's when you can actually have the kind of growth you want. Because what your next step is determined by where you are, how you're wired. And if you try to pretend that you don't need to do that, then you're going to continually struggle. So, Heart Chakra Angel wanted me to say, if anyone's looking for their own reproduction of the Heart Chakra Angel, please feel free to go and, let's see, you can go, whoops. I did something wrong. There we go. You go there, deepblue.com/project/heart-chakra.angel, and you can get a reproduction of that to work with, to help you know what's true in your heart, to focus on. Because in order to be your creative soul, you have to start getting in touch with that. What's true for you? So, So you really want to start, they're saying, to be able to shift from productivity versus creativity mind focus is to start to notice when you're trying to only focus on accomplishing. That if you only focus on accomplishing, that's productivity. And you want to start to focus on the simple thing of, what do I want to make? What do I want? What do I want to make? Making things is fun. Now, it doesn't have to be something that's hard or, it just, what do you want to make? That's what they're saying to me. What do you want to make? Is there something you want to make? Because creativity puts you in that divine flow, helps you feel connected. In fact, everything that's created is actually already here, and we get it from like the ethers. Like if people are and they get too stuck into, oh, I created this, then they can get stuck, because it's the divine that's creating everything. We're just the vessel, the channel that brings it forth, but it's really the divine energy brings it forth. We become the vessel to take the action. When you get into that creativity, energy of creativity, it will allow you to start to be in flow. And he's also saying the big thing about creativity is it's connecting you to that divine energy whenever you make something. And you even listen to people will say, like a lot of people who are artists will say that, oh, they got into the flow, they got connected, because they know it's not really just coming from their mind, that they got tuned into something that all of a sudden, like, oh, it came forth. At least that's what I find. That's exactly how the Heart Chakra Angel came forth. I got a vision, and then when I got to the canvas to create that spirit guide, I was like, oh, it's not supposed to look like this. I'm supposed to do something totally different. And so I started doing a totally different thing. And I came up with, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. It's a Heart Chakra Angel here to help us know what's true in our heart and to make that decision, in the 7 major chakras that are coming up and down our astral spine, if you know anything about that. It's that midpoint. There's 3 below and 3 above, and how do we make that choice to choose from the higher? So easy to go choose from what we're afraid of or what we logically think or think was most productive or realistic, because the productive mind is going to put you in what you logically think will work. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So they're giving a little practice of ask yourself every day, what would put me in the creative flow? What can I do? What can I make that would get me into creativity rather than productivity? And if you see you're on your checklist of this is what I need to get done, to give that over to your spirit guides of that it can be something different. Like, how can I get this done and be creative? That's the question you want to ask yourself, is how can I get this done and be creative? And they're also saying fun is part of that creativity. Like if you actually do something fun, like a kid, beforehand, that you're going to see that your creativity. In fact, they're telling me, before we started this live, I have these bubbles that are in my space. And in fact, they want me to get them right now. I'll stop for a minute. They're saying they want you to play, and that will get you in the creative place. So I have these bubbles that I have kept, of course, in my space for a long, long time. And I hadn't used them in years. And they were saying how it's important, like bring out your bubbles or finger paints or whatever you're thinking of and see how you can start to play like when you were 5 and start to see what comes forth. And so that will bring out more of the creativity in you by going into the energy of play. Because play has nothing to do with productivity. I was trying to blow them at the camera. Play has nothing to do with productivity. There we go. Has to do with what? Just having fun. And what do kids do when they're creative? They start to just pretend and get in that creative energy of what they can do. And so they're asking you to actually start to do that for yourself. Get into that creative flow. Get into that energy of fun, because that's what's going to make a difference for you, is being in that creative energy. So if anybody wants to introduce themselves, feel free to. Just realized I took down the little message and forgot to put it up. So if you come on, you want to introduce yourself. Often when I come here, if you're new here, if you've been here before, you know, so lots of times the spirit guides will give a message. They're not actually asking me today, but to ask you. But feel free to ask anything you might want to ask. I'm not getting them saying that they're going to give out messages, but you never know when you ask a question whether something will come through or not. I'm going to step out of the view for a minute just to see how it looks. The thing about when you paint, you got to step back and look at it. So once I get these hands done, one thing about painting with oil paints, if you're not an oil painter, there's layers that you add. So I always start with just putting a bunch of paint down, and then as you do more, there's more and more layers for you to do. And life is kind of like that. That's what they're kind of saying to me, is life is like that. Like, you know, you do things, and then there's like a next step. What's the next step that you have to do? So if you're stuck, what's your next step? It's always the next step, no matter what's happening in life. You know, especially like on the spiritual journey, there's a next step. Same thing with your life. What's the next step in your life? What's the next step in your spiritual growth? What's the next step in your family? You know, because we're continual beings, changing all the time. So it's never about arriving and you're done. It's about what's that next step in the journey. And when you actually can accept that, life gets a lot easier. And that's why they're saying the creative mind, the creativity focus will give you more success, because it's not about productivity of, oh, we're looking for the ultimate productivity in the business or getting the list done the fastest. But it's about enjoying the journey. How can you do it? How can you actually enjoy yourself as you're on this journey of growing and of being the spiritual being that you are? So I'm going to be oops. Luckily, didn't mess it up. Almost did. The paintbrush landed in the right spot. But you know, it's a great thing about oil paints is if it had ran, I would just paint over it. Just paint over things. Doesn't quite. You know, that's the thing with life, is if something doesn't quite go the way you thought, you make a mistake, you just make another cause, and that corrects it. You know, people think, oh, I screwed up. They're like, it's like you can't fix it. And I'm of the mindset when we do the painting is you're not trying to fix it. I mean, there are things I feel like I'm fixing, but it really is when you fix it, what you think you're doing is fixing is it adds to the, 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 the portal. It adds to the painting when you actually allow yourself to just go, oh, well, how's that going to make it better? And it's the same way with that in life. Is like, how does it make your life better? Something that you thought was a total mess up can actually lead to something good. You know, years ago, when I wanted to buy a house before I was 30. I thought losing my job was the worst thing ever. And it was actually the best thing ever. I would have never gotten my house to put the down payment down when I was 28 if I hadn't lost that job, because I ended up going into a sales job that paid me a lot more money. So, you know, and the important part to get that experience where you have a lot more is to not stop moving, is to not give up and get off the spiritual journey, or to just think like you're stuck with what you have. It's about, ooh, what's that next step I need to take? What's that next cause I need to make? Because, you know, there's always a new cause that you can make that could change the current circumstance. And that's what people don't realize, is there's always a new cause you can make that can change the circumstance into something better. So do you have something in your life that's not where you want it to be? Don't give up. What's that next cause that you can make? What's that next? And the cause might be change your consciousness to think differently. Because in actuality, that's where all the change happens, is we have to change how we're viewing something, our consciousness of how we're seeing it, the belief we have about it, to go, you know, is there a possibility of something else that's better coming in? Because there, you know, there always is. Even when your logical mind says there's not. Because the logical mind only knows what was from the past, not what could be happening now. And next week, we're going to talk about logic versus creativity. We talked about productivity, and logic and creativity, logic and productivity have some similarities, but there are some differences, and they're telling me we're going to talk about that next week. So, it is about productivity, not productivity, logical mind versus creative mind. And when they say mind, they're talking about consciousness, like the creative flow or the logic. And we're going to talk about that. Productivity is more like what you're getting done. The logic is definitely your mindset, the perspective that you view from, how you make your decisions. So, I see there's some people live. If you have anything you want to say or question, I'm going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon, but I'd love it if you want to put any share in, or you have a question about anything. I'm going to step back and look at that hand. Got to still work on it more, but the one on the right got a little more detail than it was having. It's not what I want done yet. That nail looks like a big old white blob. Anyway, I don't see any comments or anything. Thank you for everybody who's watched. If anybody hasn't subscribed before, please subscribe. I'll be putting up another live for next week. If you subscribe, always helps. Whoops, I got it upside down. There we go. And then if you know of anybody who'd benefit from this, please be a blessing and share it with them. Turn on your notifications and give me a like if you can. It all helps my channel. It's my little thumbs up that I made. I love making things. So, and I'll see you next week. Blessings.